right. Are we starting?
Are we? I don't know. Sure.
Okay. I'm Jack.
I'm Rob.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We're trying to figure out what we're going to talk about.
And what we're going to be called.
And what we're going to be called.
Oh.
Last time we kind of figured out why people might want to listen to us.
Right.
But we still didn't really figure out what we're going to be called or what we're going to talk about.
Right. So is that interesting, though, to hear two people talk about what they're going to talk about?
I mean, is it interesting to listen to two people talk that you don't know in general?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So, okay, what were you going to say?
I was going to say we had a series of free associations last time where we were trying to come up with a name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to read those out for posterity, and maybe that'll lead to something.
Okay.
So we enjoy having thoughts.
It sounds too much like a new age song.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Hey, listen to us. We're likable.
I still like that. I still think that should be in the running.
We have bring it back to underwear. You don't think about it until it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible name for a title. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful tangent.
But that was the one my mom would have liked.
Yeah. So I don't think we really even got anywhere.
I don't think we nailed it. I don't think we last week we nailed exactly what the name would be.
Well, what's the process you go through when you're naming something? Like your cats or your bands? Like cats and bands are pretty much the only thing people name. So like, how did you get to those decisions?
But I think part of that is what we will talk about, because if we were going to talk about cats and bands, we would call it Cats and Bands.
Cats and Bands is a great name.
A friend to all cats and bands. How do you come up with a name for something? I think the harder that's why this is difficult, because the harder you think about it, the harder it becomes. It just kind of has to hit you like a bolt out of the blue, like, oh, that's it, you know?
Yeah. Not only that, but the harder you think about something, a lot of times the worse your conclusions are going to be.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to overthink it.
Right. I think creativity kind of comes from the ethereal plane of wherever the hell all thoughts lie in this great big crazy universe. Sorry. I just kind of wanted to say that.
Tell me about this ethereal plane, though.
So like Michelangelo, to him, the sculpture, when he would do a sculpture, the sculpture already existed. He was just freeing it from the block of marble, you know. So it wasn't like he was creating the sculpture. He was more like shaving away the parts that were not revealing it yet.
Okay.
So I think, and when I used to write songs, I would think to myself, kind of along those lines, like, this song is already written. It just is up to me to put it down on paper.
Okay.
You know? So I think this podcast already has a name. We just have to set it free. Yeah, kind of something like that.
So in a way, we already have a completed podcast, even though we haven't recorded it yet. And all we have to do is edit out the parts that are not there.
I don't think you edit out the parts that aren't there.
Yeah.
It's my weird thoughts about space-time continuum and all that. Everything has already happened, and everything that will happen has already happened, and everything exists all at the same time and not as well. It's all like a, giant universal jigsaw puzzle.
Right. But how do you
Mobius strip?
How do you complete the puzzle then if everything's already been
laid
out?
That's our job, is to complete the puzzle.
Has anything bizarre or strange happened to you since the last time we met?
No, because there's been a pandemic, so everything has been very mundane. And I think that's kind of the whole point of doing the podcast, is to make something interesting, but we also have to talk about something interesting. Whew, my brain's rough today. Sorry.
My brain's rough today is not a bad
My brain's
title.
rough today.
It's not a bad title, really.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I just start thinking about all the times I've ever had to name a band or a project or, a zine or whatever, an album. And it's always this terrible, excruciating process that typically leads nowhere. You start overthinking it, and then you start telling people your ideas, and they're like, oh, that's stupid, and it makes you not want to have ideas. So that's, I don't know.
Right. And then it comes into your head and you think, oh, that's brilliant. And then when you say it out, oh, I got this idea for a band name. And then you say it out loud. And as you're saying it, you realize exactly why they're looking at you the way they are. Like, yeah, in my head, it was cool. It just didn't come out so good.
I think there's also like a lot of expectations that are placed on having a name or a title for things, because we are predispositioned to aspire to some sort of unattainable level of greatness with creative output, particularly as creative people. And I feel like when you don't have a name that is instantly intimated in your brain, that everything else just seems like a letdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you really think about life, most of it's just sort of a series of letdowns peppered with like little bursts of joy and success.
It's true.
Amidst all the despair.
But those bursts of joy and success are what keep you going through the despair.
Yeah.
Wow, we're doing good so far.
I think so.
Yeah. We've come up with the name and what we're going to talk about. No, we haven't.
No. But what are we going to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Maybe that could be like the name of the podcast. What do you want to talk about? And every because I don't know if anybody listening knows this, but we're really just ad-libbing this whole thing. I think it's probably obvious, but you never know. People might think we're scripting this out. It's like, how can you script out this bullshit?
Or maybe we're so clever that we've pre-scripted all of this out so people think that we're totally ad-libbing it, but really this is all like a construct. This goes back to free will versus determination.
Right. Well, I think the more natural it is, the more interesting it is, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Only time will tell. It's that. Oh man.
Start to sweat.
Yeah, right. It's almost like pressure, do a podcast, say something interesting. That's not interesting. What if I do it louder?
That's interesting.
So how long have we been talking now?
7 hours.
7 hours. Have we come up with a name yet? What do we got on the table? What are our winners?
Well, I don't know. I'm starting to kind of like we can edit that out.
That's pretty good.
Just because it's
got a punk edge to it.
It's got kind of a punk edge to it. It's sort of, I don't know. It's something we've said about 100 times since we started this project.
This is true. And a lot of that will be edited out.
Most of it will.
So people will listen to it and go, you didn't say that at all. What are you talking about? Like, no, we actually did, and that got edited out, So this is the podcast about the stuff that you didn't hear.
Yeah. Everything that you're hearing is actually stuff that we edited out, and all the good stuff
exactly
we took out, so you don't actually hear anything with relevance or meaning or content.
And then when people hear this, they'll go, well, you succeeded at that. Well played, sirs. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. I think it's good. So I think now that we got a general idea of what we're going to call it, because I don't know, we talked about this while the microphones were off, but I think last week we did why will people listen to this, and this time we're doing what will we call it, and what will we talk about?
If we overthink this, then it's going to be boring.
Yeah, I know.
If we underthink it, it's going to be totally random.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to find kind of some sort of balance between completely having no idea what we're doing, which is how we carry on with most of our lives.
Yes. Make it up as you go along.
But as we mentioned before in our last episode, I'm not so sure it really matters so much that we have a point to this as just that it's just something that exists.
Right. But even if we don't have a point, we have to come to a conclusion at the end of why did that exist, you know?
Yeah.
It's difficult.
I don't know. I think like for me, this whole thing is sort of an experiment of working through some existential like questions, things that I go through in my day to day that I have to stop myself and ask, you know, why is this happening? What is this? Where are we going as a civilization? Why do we exist? It's more of an existential like vomit, I guess.
Do you think it's therapeutic? I mean, I think part of the creative process has a therapeutic element to it.
Yeah, I would say rather than therapeutic, more cathartic.
Okay.
You know, I feel like every time I create something, every time I put out a song or make a photograph that I'm really proud of, I feel like it's taking something that is boiling under the surface of my skin and releasing it into the world for better or worse. And whether or not it's well received, it's actually the act of putting it out there that I think is the important thing.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think that's where the best art comes from is not really caring about whether people appreciate it or not. It's just, I have this inside me and I need to release it into the great unknown. And if anybody else gives a shit, it doesn't matter. But just the fact that I did it is the drive, you know? I think that's a big part of the creative process. I mean, they've studied the cave paintings, and I think in some part of France is where some of the original cave paintings were, and they've studied them, you know, for a couple of years now. But
for 7 years.
But the general consensus, the consensus I like when they've like talked about them and what they meant and why they were there was just people wanting to say, I was here. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of why we do what we do, because we want to tell people I was here, you know?
Did you always feel like that? Did you always feel like this need to leave a mark on your surroundings?
So this is an interesting thing, and this could get personal, but I'm just going to go with it. So I sang in this punk band called the Blood Clots for about 6 years. I think we already talked about that in the last episode, but just a refresh. Some of my best mental catharsis was shouting at the top of my lungs at a microphone. It was almost like primal scream therapy. When I was done, I felt so much more relaxed and in tune with the world after I got to yell at the top of my lungs for so long. And where it gets personal is because I grew up with a dad who completely ignored me. I was raised by my mom, and my dad didn't completely take off like some people's dads have, but he was around, but he completely ignored me. And years later, after I was done with the band, I had this mental like epiphany that the whole time I was yelling in this mic, I was just yelling, I'm here, listen to me. You know, can you acknowledge the fact that I exist? And me yelling at the top of my lungs was kind of my way of being like, I am here, you know? So it was a really tough thing when I realized that. And I think a lot of our drive comes from our past, you know what I mean? All these things that happen to you in your past, they build up to be what drives you in life.
Well, I think it's interesting that you found your way into tattooing, where you're not just putting artwork out into the world, but you're leaving it permanently etched into someone's flesh.
See, there's nothing permanent about tattoos, though, because these people will die at some point, and when their body decomposes, then the tattoo is gone. That's a interesting thing I've always talked about with people. You're leaving your mark in this world. Like, yeah, but it's finite. Once these people die and everything's decomposed, then there is no mark anymore. So my mark only lasts as long as everybody else's lifetime that I've tattooed.
I mean, I guess with putting out music, it's a little different because a record, if it's taken care of and it's preserved, will last forever.
Yeah.
But it still only exists in the possession of whoever has it. And if they don't share it with other people, and if they don't, make a mixtape with it and pass it on to a younger generation or something, then it dies with them too, kind of.
Yeah, it can be. If what is that old saying? You only live as long as the last person who has ever said your name. So I think, come on, in reality, the Earth will fly into the sun someday, and all of this was pointless anyway. Sure. You know what I mean? So everybody thinks about, the next generation having kids. Neither Rob nor I have kids, not with each other or separately. I made you laugh. But people always focus on this, like, how do I contribute? How do I make my mark? How do I leave a legacy? And a lot of people do that with having kids, and it's like, okay, cool. You had kids. Your kids will have kids. Your kids will have kids. Someday the Earth is going to fly into the sun, and what the fuck did it matter anyway? So I think that's a big thing about the human condition is. You leave your mark, but your mark doesn't fucking matter anyway. So at the end of the day, it's how did you live your life for you? And that's why I've never had kids. So that's my personal take on it, because I feel like I don't really need to have this finite mark on the next generations. I live my life for the sake of living my life, which is also very hedonistic and egotistic, but fuck it. What the fuck else you got, Let's talk about memes for a second. A lot of the memes and a lot of the stories about Thanksgiving over the social media have been about the drunk uncle at the Thanksgiving. And it's almost seems like a universal commonality of like, and your drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. So I want to know, do you have any good drunk uncle stories? Or
I have a fantastic drunk uncle
were
story.
you the drunk uncle?
I'm no one's uncle, thank God.
Okay.
I have a few uncles. They're all on the Thai side of my family because my mother comes from Bangkok. She's a Thai national. My mother's brother from Thailand also lived in Colorado. And he moved there after my mom relocated there with my dad. My uncle was over for Thanksgiving, and his name is Son, S-O-R-N.
Okay.
But pronounced Son.
Okay.
And so Uncle Son was over for Thanksgiving, and fun fact, my Uncle Son and his brothers used to play in an Elvis cover band.
No way.
In
Awesome.
Bangkok.
Oh,
back in the day.
I actually wanted to be an Elvis impersonator for a long time.
I can totally see that.
I can actually sing Elvis really, really good. But since there's so many other Elvis impersonators, my take, I felt like I had to have a new take on it that nobody else was doing. And since I used to, the band before the Blood Clots, can't remember the name, but
Eastside Disposal?
Come on, let's edit that out.
No, let's keep that in. I know all the good stuff.
Okay. But I'd get naked at the shows we were playing all the time just because, I don't know, I was bored, drunk, and punk, and take all my clothes off. So I thought, okay, I'm going to move to Las Vegas, and I'll be the nude Elvis. And it didn't really go anywhere after that. Anyway, back to your story. Sorry.
Well, I don't know how I can top that.
Well, I thought nude Elvis might be funny, but then it kind of fell flat. So. Was there a pun in that? Fell flat? I don't think so.
Definitely somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Anyways.
Sorry. I've been drinking. Oh, not a bad name for our podcast.
The
I've
name
been
of your,
drinking.
It's the name of your autobiography.
Oh, okay, that's true. No, my autobiography was this one time when I was drinking. Okay. Sorry. I'm monopolizing over here. Yeah.
Quit colonizing my.
I
Uncle
know.
story.
The fucking white man overshadows the fucking minorities again. It's a fucking shitty thing. I don't know what is that about.
Just
being
stop.
white. I can't. I went from hungover to fucking kind of drunk all in the space of. How long have we been recording this? About
10
25
hours?
minutes? No, but we'll edit,
Anyway.
we'll edit that. We'll make it seem like 25 minutes.
Anyways, my uncle came over and with his family, and we were all settled in the living room of my parents' house, and someone demanded that I grab my guitar and play a song. So I got the guitar down from my room and I played just some fucking Nirvana song, or I don't know. I was in high school at the time, so whatever song I actually knew how to play a guitar at the time. I think I was like 15.
So you're playing Smells Like Teen Spirit for your adult family.
Maybe something like that. And then I passed the guitar to
Is the turkey ready? Well, it smells like Teen Spirit.
passed the guitar to my Uncle Son, and he starts playing. And my Uncle Son was notorious for his alcoholism, and
Okay.
he would
This is good.
he would get drunk off of like 3.5 Miller Lights in a can.
Nice. Oh, I wish I had
Small
that.
statured Thai man.
Okay. Small stature.
He would get really drunk. He played like a couple of songs. Maybe he tried singing "Love Me Tender" or something.
Oh, nice one.
And then there was one point where he just passed the point of no return, drops the guitar, falls flat on his face, and farts in front of everyone.
Nice.
It was amazing. It was so great
Nice.
because all of us were just sitting there like trying to just be polite and like watch him butcher the fuck out of this Elvis song.
But what a finale!
And then he falls flat on his face, farts, and we're all just looking at each other. We're like, well, how do you top that?
How do you
It's
top
pretty
that?
amazing. Yeah. Do you have any drunk uncle? Do you have a drunk uncle? Do you have an uncle?
One of them is still on my dad's side. I have two uncles. I don't know where they're.
We can edit that out.
Yeah. It's hard to talk when you leave the room. You'd think I'd be a guy who was very good at talking to myself, but I'm not. Rob spilled wine.
Don't tell him
Oh,
that.
come on. That's actually interesting. This is why people will listen to this.
They will
because they're
not
like,
listen to this
"No."
because they want to hear me spill wine.
No, but they will want to know, like, oh, what are they actually doing while they're recording this? Yeah, we're drinking heavily and smoking a lot of cigarettes. So, drunk uncles. Yeah, I mean,
Drunkles?
yeah, drunkles. Drunkle Sam.
Drunkle Sam. Holy shit.
I think that was a band already, though. Fuck, I feel like it was. Yeah, out of Seattle. I think so.
Of course it was a Seattle band.
But anyway, I mean, no, I barely know my family, so I got no real good family stories when it comes to that. One of my uncles is dead. He was awesome. He was a fucking pool shark, traveled across the country, playing pool better than everyone else and stealing all their money. And I played pool with him one time, and he'd just let me break every time because I would break, and then he would hit every shot in, and it was just like kind of boring. It's like, okay, but it was kind of interesting because like, wow, this is just a exceptional performer at work.
He was a Latvian national as well.
Yeah, all my family was born in Latvia except me
And how
my
many
brother and my
crossed the
cousin.
pond?
Oh, I don't know anything about any of them.
But I mean, if you had an uncle that came from Latvia, did he live in Washington or like?
Long story.
It's okay. You don't have to get into it now. We can save it for another podcast.
No, I know, but just we can edit this part out and put it back in later. Oh, you have to do all the editing. This is tough for you.
Eventually, you're gonna have to learn how to do this.
I like it better when I don't.
Fuck.
Yeah.
What did I say?
This is what you signed up for. Oh, also not a bad title. This is
What did I sign up for?
Or this is what you signed up
This is
for.
what I signed up for.
No, all my family was born in Latvia, and all my older generation family was born in Latvia, and they came over as refugees during World War II. Then the rest of us were born, me and my brother and my cousins that I actually know. And then my dad's family, who I don't even know, my cousins on that side were born here.
Okay.
Not that interesting of a story.
That's super interesting. What are you talking about?
No, but it'll get interesting when we actually talk about, the things I heard about them crossing Germany during World War II back in the day. There's some fucking interesting shit there.
Okay, well, maybe we'll save that for next episode.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a teaser, like tune in next time. And then I would like to know how your mom got to America from Thailand.
We're gonna have our origin story.
Wow, and why her brother came with her, because that's interesting as well.
Yeah, right.
You wouldn't think, you know. American guy falls in love with Thai woman, and then brother joins, you know. Part of Thai culture, because if I fell in love with a girl in Germany and brought her back to the States, it wouldn't be like, your brother should come with us too. But
interesting backstory. Backstory.
That was 40 years ago.
Interesting backstory to how he came across, and even more interesting how their relationship went after that. So that's a whole nother can.
Okay. I do want to hear about it. But we kind of have to wrap this up at some point, because we've been recording for at least 35 minutes now.
3 hours and 19 minutes.
Oh, edit that out. It sounds better if people think we just like doing all this naturally without all the editing.
We can edit that out.
Yeah. It's good.
All right, so maybe
titles.
Maybe we came to the conclusion. Maybe we'll call this "We Can Edit This Out."
I like "We Can Edit This Out." This is good. You know, if I was what was that guy on what was the name of the show? Dick Clark.
Dick Clark.
If I was Dick Clark, I would say it's got a catchy beat. I can really dance to it. You know what I mean?
I don't. You're way past my demographic.
Yeah.
But
I can't even remember the name of the show he was on.
Dick Clark Show?
No, it was...
It's totally the Dick Clark Show.
No, it wasn't. You're thinking of the Dave Clark 5.
Definitely not, because I have no idea.
Man, these are old ass references. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, sometimes I've been on first dates where I thought dating myself would be preferable.
This is getting dark.
I keep thinking Top of the Pops, but that's British. So, American Bandstand. Wow, there it is. American Bandstand. That was Dick Clark. Nobody cares. Anyway, so we there's gonna be a lot of editing in this round.
I'm very well aware.
But, you know, since we're in a pandemic, I got fuck all else to do. So invite me over.
You don't have to edit at all. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. Let's just run 6 hours of random thoughts. So I like the title. The title is good. We can edit this out. This is good.
Yeah. Well, we've sort of touched on what we're going to talk about.
And what are we going to talk about? What do you have a definitive statement? Do you have a thesis?
No, I think it's more just about talking. But that sounds weird when I say it. I think it's
a talk show about talking.
It's not just about talking. I I think it's about getting down to the core essence of our existence.
Yes, but we need a prompt to do that. So the whole point is, how do we come up with a prompt? Do we look at the top news story from the day? Do we say this is the quote of the week by one of us or a friend? Or do we just write a sentence down on a piece of paper, give it to each other, and say, okay, you ask me this, and I'll ask you that, you know? I mean, or it could be any one of those every week, as long as we do have a mission towards it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
could be. We could keep it fluid.
I think we just keep it fluid, and we find out maybe someday down the road, the one of the 6 listeners that are attentively tuned in to what we're saying right now might want to give us a suggestion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we just sort of go by the seat of our pants and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for it to become that, where that would be my ideal podcast, is if we take viewers' questions and answer them. That's what I'm good at, is giving advice that I can't take myself. Okay. Or here's your shitty scenario. Here's what you do. Da da da. That'd be the good one.
My ideal podcast is like a drunk penguin fishing through a bowl of pre-written suggestions.
Yeah.
To us.
Yeah, exactly. Same sort of thing. Like we don't have to come up with the ideas. Somebody else comes up with them for us. Then we just riff on it.
But this is also presupposing that anyone's listening to this, which
I know that's the problem.
If they're in the right minds, they won't be.
So how do you cross that boundary of getting from nobody's listening to us, but we want to hear from you so we can talk about what you think about us?
I think you just answered your own question.
Okay.
Nobody's listening to us, so why worry?
I know. I mean, it's like some first dates you've been on where it's like, enough about me. Let's talk about you. Like, what do you think of me?
Yeah, and you're just staring at a skeleton.
Right? Oh, man. Okay. I think we got some good ideas, though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. All right, so
Signing off.
Until next time, we'll go into the deeper mysteries of what it's like being first generation children of immigrants in the U.S.
Ooh, that's good.
And
yeah, I think we should do that for the next episode.
Yeah,
that's good. That's
and
good.
We can explore, the science behind checking your groceries out in Germany, which I think is an important topic a lot of people want to hear about. And corn futures.
Corn futures. Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Me neither.
I can study up on it.
Yeah,
if it's important.
Well, Google corn futures and then
Googling corn futures. Not a bad title.
Not a bad idea.
But I think we can edit this out. Is the good one. I think we're gonna hang on to that.
Wait, are you saying we should edit that out?
No, I think that's a good title.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, let's call it that.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. This has been Jack.
All right. This is Rob. Signing off.
Night. Ciao. We can edit that out! We can edit that out! We can edit